What is going on, everyone? My name is Northy, and today I've got myself what is kind of like a mix and match. Obviously didn't upload since last Wednesday, which I hope is okay. The video did really well, so I'm assuming you guys are okay with it. Maybe not. We'll know with the comments of this one, but today we are doing the round 12, I guess preview and review is kind of what I'm here to explain to you guys, as I didn't do a preview for this round that just passed, but I am going to do a review for it. Without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we start off with the normal star powers. I have not changed anything since I got the results, sorry. So what you see here is exactly what we got for round 12 and who we had. So first off, we've got Rory Laird. Not too bad, but we did have Zach Merritt on offer. Probably should have picked him considering that he was playing North Melbourne and North Melbourne just can't seem to stop midfielders. We had Nick Dacos, probably the best choice I could have made, the most obvious one, I think. Like Petraka, maybe some people. Rosie, with how Port has been playing, would have been picked a few times. But Dacos, only 9 points off the top. It's not a bad pick whatsoever. Next up, we've got Curnow. Which ends up being better than Cameron because Cameron did not play, I believe, because Brisbane were off this week, but it's fine. All that I'm annoyed at is the fact that the Carlton just keeps disappointing. They just keep disappointing both their fans and myself with my stats. I just can't seem to get him to be effective when I need him, or anyone in this player, I guess, to be effective. Todd Marshall and Mitch Lewis in the same game, although Hawks should have been beaten by triple figures. Yeah, they both ended up playing some pretty good games. Todd Marshall with the 10 marks and 5 goals. Pretty good, alongside Finlayson as well, which is really nice. But we went with Curnow, and of course Curnow had a game where he didn't really affect it that often. But next up, we have the Young Guns, and Tom Green, once again, he just remains consistently good for me. 35 disposals, 6 marks and 4 tackles. That's a pretty good matchup that we're seeing right here. Maybe a goal or so, honestly, considering he's tied his season average. I'm assuming that he's just missing a goal in between all this, and that's pretty much bumping him up to his average. But Zach Butters just continues to be really impressive. I'm not sure whether he's going to get the 3 votes, because realistically, anyone on that field could have gotten 3 votes. Rosie played out of his skin, Finlayson, Todd Marshall, and there's probably a hell of a lot more of players who played really well. But yeah, Zach Butters ended up being the best young gun for that one, and epic. Sam Doherty remains very consistent, but a little under what we expected. 87 points compared to his usual 105. Jeremy Cameron, the week I take him out of my top team, he ends up having himself a game. I don't know how to describe it, but here we are, man. Here we are. We just keep seeming to find a way to pick the wrong players, and unfortunately, that has allowed us to drop to a 202 spot with only 456 points for the week, which is not good at all, especially considering the highest was 582, so we would have probably seen a Fritsch, a Marshall, a Lewis, somewhere around here. Someone would have picked for a mix and match. We probably lost a few points here. Zach Merritt definitely would have been picked by some of the top players in this one. Jeremy Cameron, Tom Liberatore. Liberatore's having himself a really good season so far. I think a bright spot for the Dogs so far. And then Zach Butters would have been a pick from a lot of people. A lot of people this week, I think, would have picked Zach Butters, considering he's starting to get his attention now. And fair enough, he's playing up to the hype, man. He's playing up to it. Next, though, we go to Ultra. And Ultra, completely different story. Really happy with this. Our least best player, unfortunately, was Tex Walker. Now, I'm not sure what the deal is, but all of my players, or some of my players even, aren't showing up on my Ultra side. So I picked Tex, hoping that maybe we'd get something, but unfortunately not. But like at the same time, we go over to Silver. There were a lot of other choices like Marshall, Lewis, Fritsch was in there, but for some reason, those two haven't showed up. I'm not sure whether that's me missing something or doing something wrong, but I'll have to try and figure that out. But Tex Walker ended up being our low light for the week. We kept Doherty in there, and again, missing some players for some reason, but Doherty did all right. And then we go to our double points players. Tim Kelly, really bright for the West Coast Eagles, even though they are having a disappointing season. He had a really good game, managed to make it interesting and get me 112 points. Very good, double that up, especially with Clayton Oliver being out, unfortunately. It's good to see him playing up to his potential as well. Then we had Noah Anderson, nice little double points as well, 109 there, good to see, the mighty mids. And of course, we talked about Tom Green before. He got 115, double that up, really nice. So our double points players all played really well, over 100 points. Really nice. I just like that 600 and a little bit over that, to be honest. I think it's like more around 650, which is really good. All we needed was these two to play well, and Doherty did okay, but the fact that we could only pick Tex meant that our position was just outside the top 20. And for this game mode, you need to be top 20 to get a prize card. So we were 5 places off prize card. Really, really disappointing. And I was really upset with this result, as I will go to show you in the top team side of things, because this was our best chance. We managed to pick out a really good side full of probably not so obvious picks. Like, I don't know how many people would have had Kelly. A lot of people could have had Merritt. Not many people, I'm assuming, would have picked up Anderson, but there we are. We've gotten Anderson's best ones. Tom Green, I think a lot of people would be going for. But man, we can't seem to find any luck in that sense. It's been really tough. Now we go over to top team, and this is where it gets really disappointing. If there's anything obvious to you guys, it's the fact that Sicily is in. I forgot that Sicily was out, I believe, from suspension, and I completely forgot. I completely forgot that he was. So Sicily being in our team has completely ruined top 4 for us this week. Completely ruined it. And it's annoying because I made the smart decision to put Merritt in this week. 155, an absolutely ripper week from him. Team English had himself a ripper game with 158 just between those two. Already over 300 points, 313 between those two. Then we go to Goey, who had to have a horrible game, 58 points. And then, like I mentioned, all it took was us not changing out Sicily for some reason. It ruined us. I'm looking through. We could have gone Dawson. Dacos would have been a pick. Stewart, I remember going over a little bit. They would have been some that I picked out. But no, of course, I'm stupid and don't know when to take out players. And as a result, 371 points with only 2 good players. 289 for the week, man. Oh, this was our week. This was our week. If we had just managed to pick a better forward. Degoe, honestly, like, I don't think it was a bad pick. I think it was just unfortunate he had a bad game. Nick Martin, I've picked previously. He could have very easily been our best forward and our forward pick. And then just anyone other than my dumb decision to pick Sicily instead of anyone else. Ah, stupid. So stupid. Really annoyed with that. This was probably our best week, considering English and Merritt had themselves amazing games. Oh, wasted potential. So much wasted potential there. It annoys me because we drag it over to top 18. And like I mentioned, I kept Sicily in for some reason. Sicily is in there. But we're going to look at the back line. Look how good our back picks were this week, man. Dawson, Stewart, Dacos, Whitfield. That's why I was talking about how annoyed I was with the back line for last round. And then Doherty's still pretty far up there for the packman. But no, I went and picked a 0-point player because that's what I do best, is mess up golden opportunities. So next up, we go to our midfield. Midfield was really surprising. So obviously we had Merritt. We had him in our top 4 and we also had him in our top 18. Taranto continues to play really well. Glad I chucked him in there as well. Gonna stay in there as long as he keeps playing well. And we go to our next ones. Bontempelli had 108, which isn't a bad performance. Laird had himself 81, which is super low for his, like, standard. I'm really not sure what happened. And Sam Walsh, like I'm saying, Carlton were just disappointing all around. 55! 55 for Sam Walsh. Yuck. Disgusting. That was really poor from Sam Walsh, and that's definitely made our midfield look a little worse for wear. Then we go to our forward line. Nick Martin, again, I mentioned that we could have picked him up. He's in our top 18, and he got himself 111. So, if I'm correct, did we pick every single number 1 player? No, Caleb Daniel. We had 1, 1, and 2. We even had the number 1 ruckman in. So, like, there was a lot of chances for us to do well. Ah, man, it just really annoys me, the fact that we missed out on this one. Errol Goulden didn't play. I've just found that out now, literally as I'm recording. That's probably a good reason as to why we didn't make it. But forwards were a mess this week, man. Zeeble, who's usually easy picks, he was horrific. I went and watched that game live. Horrific. He sucks at the moment. He is so frustrating to watch. 73 points from him, which is actually better than his last season's average, which is hilarious. But my God, does he not know how to play football now? It's strange to watch, man. Shea with an average performance, 85 points. I mean, there's not much you can really expect. But all this has taught me is that I need to be a bit more target. I need to target teams who are playing poor teams. And when I say that, I mean Nick Martin plays for Essendon. Maybe not the greatest player out there all the time, but he was up against North Melbourne and North Melbourne's defense. Although it did actually do all right, I'm not actually disappointed for the most part. Again, excluding Zeeble, the defense didn't do terribly. I think they did kind of hold their own and helped out in a way. Nick Martin was able to do his thing. 21 disposals, 7 marks, 2 goals. Like, Nick Martin was able to work his way into that game easily. Obviously, Errol Goulden was a big miss. I didn't even realize that he didn't play. Again, jeez, man. What a horrible week. What a horrible week for top team. But now that I mention it, I am going to be a bit more targeted towards my players. I think, especially forward line, I need to pick out the players who are playing bad teams so that they thrive. Backline, you get the usuals for the most part. They'll have the odd poor game or not. Then you'll see players like Caleb Daniel, who, although he isn't having a bad season by any means, 136 is way above average for him. Same with Bailey Dale, way above average. So maybe against teams like Geelong, because they did play Geelong, we should chuck in some backmen who are playing against Geelong. Like, it makes sense in that way. Because you're utilising players who are most likely to have a better week. So I'm hopeful that we can manage to make the most of next week. This is going to be a really, really tough one because I believe DeGoey's now out. And I've heard rumors of 3 weeks with that bump. Sicily should be coming back because I think he was only out for 1 week, so I'm hopeful that's the case. I want Clayton Oliver back as soon as possible, man. Whitfield, I'm going to keep in there. He's starting to find his form. Last year was a really rough year for him, so seeing him back to form in that sense is really nice to see. But there's a few players, like, I feel like I need to get rid of a few Carlton players at the moment. Unless they're playing a really poor team, I feel like Carlton players are going to be swapped out. I feel like it has to happen now. This is getting really, really tough to watch as a neutral supporter. Just Carlton consistently making things difficult for me. But, oh well, we see here, we check the ladder, 152, 1,611, and that's missing a player, and that's missing 2 players, and we had 1,611. Add 2 100-point players, and we probably could have actually made it into the top, the top 20, it looks like, for this one. I think it's top 20, unless it's top 30. Hold on, let me double check. I'm pretty sure top 20, yeah. Top 20 for that one. Ah, man, it's really rough getting this close and then messing yourself up every single time at the moment. It's been a really, really rough year in terms of my top team performances. Not a single prize card yet. This is the complete opposite to how last year went, so I'm hopeful that things will change up soon. We gotta be on the ball, man. We just have to be. But let's go over our tips. This week, I actually can't remember. How did our tips go this week? We go to round 12, 5 out of 7. Hey, that's not terrible. I can live with that. A few ones here, like Melbourne beating Carlton by 17 points. That was a horrible game to watch. That was a really tough one to watch. Port probably should have won by a lot more than what they did against Hawthorn, but nonetheless, they got the 55-point win. Collingwood beating West Coast, pretty expected. This one, the Dogs versus the Cats, I thought the Dogs would be able to get up. I really did. And I think it was a pretty average game on both ends, but Geelong taking the win there. They'll be happy with that. Gold Coast, what the hell is going on with Gold Coast now? Now they decide to show up. I don't think it was played at Adelaide Oval. I think it was played at Darwin. So maybe explains why Gold Coast won that game. I'm honestly not too sure. Gold Coast takes that one 112 to 87. However, I will still tip Adelaide every day of the week at Adelaide Oval because there's something going on at Adelaide Oval right now. I don't get it. Adelaide taking the L there. Richmond winning off a game winner from Marlon Pickett. Really nice to see there. And then Essendon versus North. I would much rather be here saying, wow, I'm so glad North won. Because, man, that was a tough game to watch. It was so tough. Those boys worked hard. So hard to get that win. So I'm really proud with North's performance as a North Melbourne fan. But Essendon took that one, I think, just cleaner when it mattered. Heads in the game a bit more when it mattered the most. And North still just trying to find their way to keep their calm when they're in these tough, really close situations. So I'm hopeful that North have a win coming up sometime soon against GWS down at Tasmania, should I say? Bellarine it is. But oh man, I just don't trust North down in Tasmania. I really don't. It's tough to watch them sometimes playing at that stadium. I don't understand why they play so poorly sometimes. But nonetheless, we are going to hope for the best. So best of luck to everyone for their round 13 tips. 5 out of 7 I'm not mad with whatsoever, actually. I'm pretty happy with that. So nonetheless, we move on. Really close in some places, stupid mistakes in others. We got to fix this up. Now, a reminder, the first game for this next round is on Thursday and the last one is on Monday. So there's going to be a really, really long round. So hopefully you guys are keen on that. Only 2 teams with the bye, Geelong and Gold Coast. So make sure to switch those players out that you've got in there, Geelong or Gold Coast players. Whoever you've got in there, switch them out where you need to, and you'll be set for the next round. I got to remember that in my own head as well now. But nonetheless, hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like. Check out the video on the screen right now. This will be the round 11 review to let you guys know how close we've been so far to grabbing some prize cards in previous rounds. And of course, if you enjoy what you see here today, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for the love on the previous video as well. I'll mention it again. It's crazy how much Teamcoach can do for you. So thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.